I'd like to discuss the ongoing um, absolute magnitude of the crime being committed by Yoko Ono and Sean Lennon. When you look at the way that rare book operators like Charles Aston and John Schulman organized to cover for how Watmaker had used the neurobehavioral implant in me, while Colucci and the Fords were dragging me to situations where they were stealing things, forcing me in fear for my life to sit quietly as far away as I possibly could get and cooperating behind their backs with principals and police trying to stop this kind of activity. You see the murder of Shannon Harps over a penny line in context. You see, they were using a neurobehavioral implant to try to make me a compulsive curiosity lifter. In other words, the kind of person who would bend over to pick up a quarter. And they'd say, step on a crack, break your mother's back. That's what Ian Wadmaker said. The gutter snipes explained to me that what they did was shoot paper clips at anybody who littered. So they had a neurocompulsive behavior that represented the absolute magnitude. In other words, John Schulman's $8 million museum heist, which he got away with for years in full view of people like Jaime Carbonell and Mark Nordenberg, who are still allowing him basic freedoms rather than investigate. Who knows who was buying those books? Um, that $8 million museum heist was a petty theft. It was really very small compared to the absolute magnitude of what the NAACP is actually up to with regard to the 1 cent penny heist. And that was shown by the disposable murder of Cersei Kennedy and two more Kennedys, who were just a wave of the hand away. And, at the jumping hauler, the Kennedy researchers absolutely ignored prior warnings that this could happen. Absolutely ignored it. Shut down total. Had no interest in the matter. Boston detectives didn't follow up. Worcester, Massachusetts detectives didn't follow up. And they allowed these bank heisters to parade from inside the banks themselves the method they used to murder Shannon Harps and then set up a parameter in Uvalde for the Robb Elementary School murders. Who cares? That's the attitude of absolutely every single person engaged in awareness of the phenomenon because they say money is money. And so anybody who picks up a penny from the sidewalk and puts it in the pocket is guilty of greed. And therefore, the perpetrators of an $8 million museum heist can claim the absolute magnitude of a franchise far larger based on neurobehavioral programming that was resisted. The letter to Leslie Katz proves resistance to the neurobehavioral programming. All of the lies of David Geffen, all of the lies of Penis Gabriel, all of the lies of the Beatles, all of the lies of Mark Nordenberg, all of the lies of the Wattmakers, the Gutter Snipes, all of the lies of the people like John Schulman who were intimate with Leslie Katz add up to lies that Jeannie Tamburo just shrugged off. She said they're just liars. And she was attacked and raped. Virginity does not prove rape. The struggle in the letter shows I was trying to resist the neurocompulsion. I did such a good job. I got on a bus there where I was vomiting, I was in convulsive seizures, that I got it to come out. And you can see it now. I resisted an internal command that was telling me to steal. And people may remember who were around Jeannie that I tried to explain to Jeannie not to pick up a quarter from the sidewalk when she saw it because of the hybrid war game that was going on. She said, I don't understand, continued to do it. That the hybrid warriors attacked her and raped her. There were consequences for going against the Beatles, Ben Carter and Miguel and Greg Starsenik and the student union and the Trumpy Tunes and the various people who put on this absolute magnitude. It's absolute magnitude because it's the entire Western franchise. The Texas School Book is the signal script that snuffed out John Kennedy's life and has turned our society into a PlayStation for Ripper Hatters, many of them from Liverpool. Absolute magnitude of a neurobehavioral psychological paradigm that says that a person who finds something that's a curiosity and puts it in the pocket is guilty of greed. Therefore, the attackers should be allowed to claim the absolute magnitude. And Fripp understands titillation science. He's just it's titillate them, and they will say, we're with you. That's all. They don't think of anything else. Titillate them and make them greedy, and they will say, we're with you. And the whole thing is bots. They say, we're the victims, judge and jury is in our heads. That's a court of law. Judge and jury is in the heads of victims who parade as victims while stealing $8 million from the museum, right? While failing to produce any contrary evidence that the crime was staged and faked, by failing to explain the evidence that the crime was staged and faked, while pinning the tail on the donkey of a child who was battered beyond any recognition and continued to resist them and attempt to report them. It's criminally insane, but it's the absolute magnitude of the entire franchise of the West. And nobody is coming to the defense of the actual victims, which is, for example, me, Kennedy, people who have been drafted without their consent into a situation that's as abnormal as a situation can possibly be. Meanwhile, the bees are being exterminated all over the planet, seemingly purposefully by people who just want to snuff it, who are just nihilists. They organize to walk into a school and bang, 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 and shoot children. And we're supposed to pretend, we're supposed to bite our tongues and not say it's suspicious. Bite your tongue, don't say that's suspicious. John Schulman is protected in an $8 million museum heist, and they rip and murder an innocent bystander over a penny to promote the absolute magnitude of a huge, much of a heist from Yoko Ono that makes a partnership with in what John Schulman was doing look minuscule. And you're supposed to say, well, she was the penny, she was the baby on the bridge that had to be blown up to save the nature of reality, and the fiendishness with which Pitt Law pursues the nature of reality in this way, in this kind of construct, where they just attribute. The Million and Zappa and Dweezil were so fanatically anti-free speech that they put it through Jaime Carbonell's purposeful misread detector and start killing people and saying, you made us do it, you made us do it. So they have a purposeful misread computer that these people bow down and worship. They say the nature of reality. The nature of reality. While they're gassing children. And they say, Stuart Shepard used to talk about the Jewish question. I defended Jews so vehemently through my whole life. I was indignant, outraged. I was silent even when I was tortured because I felt so strongly the sentiment of the Jewish community as part of the neurohypnosis that they gobbled me up in. And I didn't like when he said that. He was meeting with Sean Brooks, right? And he was calling people jigaboos. And they come descending from the clouds, everything. And they had Ming-Na Wen's classmates had this thing called Radio KKK. Okay? And he was just as bigoted as they come. And they call this entertainment. Spike Lee puts out a bigot and he says all of these things. And he's allowed to do that because it's entertainment. He's from Hollywood, right? He knows censorship over Hollywood. That's worse than the Second Amendment. They even take a gun to a Hollywood set and shoot a Russian girl. Okay, oh well, bye bye Russian girl. So and that's the headmaster of the walrus at work, right? And that's what they're doing. And the slime, don't question it. No question. Okay. And I said, look, would you please help me report this to some kid named Steve Gibson? What does he do? He says that I was saying, I was showing what Stu Shepard was doing, and he says I was calling when people joke about, and they're like, jump and hold it, jump and hold it. I said, this kid was. Would you help me report it? And they put it through Jaime Carbonell's translation, and I got a written letter from Stuart Shepard. I apologize for saying Jigaboo. They forgave him, but they pointed the finger at me and said, you, my friend, are still going to burn in hell because you're not being truthful. And they never even tried to make the things congruent. I was automatically the driver at Kelly Elementary School, even though I was the passenger furiously quitting the job over the incident, who nearly dissociated from the idea that I was driving, went into seizures from the idea that I was driving, named John Schulman in Seattle as the ringmaster of the claim that I was driving. And when he got busted on $8 million museum heist, nobody even apologized to me. Nobody bothered to even apologize to me. They didn't care. They didn't care one little bit. I was defending them, trying to help them, trying to rescue their community, and they didn't care to apologize when I was tortured, castrated, my girlfriend raped, my friends murdered. They didn't care. So what? So you have this situation in the city of Pittsburgh where they actively cover up, as a form of philosophy, for rare book thieves. And it's their philosophy. They call it the nature of reality. That's the nature of reality. They brutally torture a child and force a nerve agent into him. And they say he was having fun. And they get wizards from the law school saying this is so important that we have to show you the slides. And they were saying to me things like it wouldn't have been rape. I disagreed. And so therefore virginity is rape. Literally, it wouldn't have been right. One of their law professors said it wouldn't have been right. I said, yes, it would have. And they said, therefore, virginity proves right. Wouldn't, and nobody even said this is ridiculous. They were all like, this is important. This is important. This is very, very important. Because Queerball is trying to contradict the nature of reality. Did anybody ever object when they called me something like queer bait, when they laughed that they were dragging me through glass? Not even Gallaudet did. Not even Gallaudet University for the Deaf objected when they said they drive me through glass. Why? And they said, Professor Sundiata said, he was a black professor. I wanted to have tenure. Said, your admiration for Fannie Lou Hamer is obvious. I did a 14-page paper. It was only supposed to be 3 to 5 pages. But I was so engrossed in it, he agreed to let me extend the length. He said, your admiration for Fannie Lou Hamer is obvious. What happens to him? He doesn't get tenure. He ends up, his mouth gets lacerated, he gets shot. This is the sort of thing that's normal in this cult of intelligence that you have. They have a man named John Stockwell following me downtown on my birthday, crashing Wall Street, and one of Penis Gabriel's brace of abnormals comes over to me from Oxford. It tells me to read The Day the Earth Stood Still, the night before Wall Street crashes, and then John Stockwell shows up. It's my birthday. He underlines my birthday, and these people are mad hatters, and they say it's okay for them. It's okay for them, white race, to snarl in favor of. They actually said, you can prove this, that Joseph Goebbels was a protective icon of the Jewish Defense League. It's in print. Penis Gabriel defended it as an experience park. Robert Fripp was like, this is the sacred Sheimish of Pierre Elliott, one of the idiots in Paris. And his sister appears on 60 Minutes with Colin Powell. And because and they were hot wiring, and it's their whole scheme to hotwire the whole thing. I'm sorry, it can't be changed. People keep telling me, change your testimony, change your testimony, change your testimony. And then if I even so much as take it down so it's less intimidating, they shoot someone. So see, because you're punishing you for hiding something. And this comes from people like Obama. He was working with David Geffen. He let them say wear your inside out. And you expect these Ripper Hatters to come clean?